Have you ever reached that moment when you realize you've given all you can? When you've exhausted every ounce of love, every fiber of patience, trying to make them see your worth, only to find your efforts met with indifference. You were the one who showed up, who went the extra mile, who loved without conditions, waiting for them to wake up to your value. And then it happens, that pivotal moment when you decide that enough is enough. You make a choice. You step away, leaving them to experience life without the warmth of your presence, without the steady foundation of your support. It's in that instant, that precise moment, that they feel the crushing weight of realizing they've lost something irreplaceable. People often say that we don't appreciate what we have until it's gone. But there's a deeper agony here, an intense, unspoken suffering that comes when someone realizes, far too late, that they've lost you. As John le Carré put it, the saddest thing about betrayal is that it never comes from your enemies. It isn't an outsider who disregarded your value. It was someone you trusted deeply, someone who you allowed into your most vulnerable places. And when you finally decide to live for yourself, instead of begging for scraps of their attention, they're left with the cold, empty silence of your absence. Picture this. You were their lighthouse in the storm, the unwavering light that always guided them back to safety, no matter the chaos that raged around. Yet, they treated you as something they could come back to at will, replaceable, always there. But what happens to a sailor when the lighthouse disappears? They're lost, adrift, swallowed by darkness they never prepared for. They assumed they could manage alone, only to find themselves stumbling in the very darkness they took for granted you would always light. How many times did you excuse their coldness, hoping they'd finally see your worth? How many moments did you sacrifice, waiting for them to appreciate the gift of your presence? And perhaps most painful, how many times did you doubt your own value because they couldn't or wouldn't see it? We suffer more in imagination than in reality, Seneca reminds us. But the pain of leaving, of choosing yourself over the illusion of their care, that pain is raw and transformative. Walking away may be the hardest thing you'll ever do, but it's also the bravest. In choosing yourself, you're choosing peace over pain, clarity over confusion, and dignity over desperation. When they lose you, something shifts. At first, they may feel a thrill, a false sense of freedom, but that freedom quickly becomes isolation. Who will they turn to now? Who will know them in the ways they don't even understand themselves? They go through their days feeling a hollowness they can't explain, an ache that gnaws at them in the quiet moments. Because in the end, it's the one who cared the most who leaves the deepest void. As Epictetus said, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. And their reaction, once they fully realize what they've lost, will be a sorrow that they cannot shake. So hit that like button under this video if you are ready. Because in the quiet hours of the night, when distractions fade and all that's left are their thoughts, they come to see that they've been chasing shadows, living illusions, clinging to the comfort of knowing you'd always be there. But now, they see the truth. They weren't the hero of this story. They were the fool, too blinded by their own ego to recognize the loyalty, love, and strength that stood by them. They thought you were a constant, like the sunrise that greets each day. But now that light is gone, and they're left to confront a darkness they never anticipated. They'll feel the pain, the regret. They'll want you back, but pride and ego hold them back at first. Yet pride fades, and regret endures. And this is only the beginning of their journey, one that spirals toward a deeper understanding of what they've truly lost. They may try to fill the void with others, distractions, and fleeting pleasures, but nothing compares. Deep down, they know it. They'll come to realize that finding someone like you is not only unlikely, but nearly impossible. You were rare, a steadfast gem in a world of passing moments. When this truth finally dawns on them, the heartbreak of understanding becomes relentless. They realize too late that some people are irreplaceable, and as the weight of this truth settles, they'll find themselves inching back, desperate to regain what they threw away. But this is where you summon every ounce of strength you possess. When they come crawling back, haunted by regret and the memories of what you once shared, it's tempting to fall into old patterns, to mistake their attention for genuine change. But understand, they're back because they want to pull you back into the cycle, to regain control over what they once had. Stand firm. This isn't about them anymore. It's about you, reclaiming your power and refusing to be a pawn in anyone's game. Let's walk through this journey, stage by stage. Each step brings them closer to that point of desperation, where they finally recognize the magnitude of their loss. As we go through these 8 stages, you'll see how deeply their regret runs and why standing strong is the most liberating choice you can make. So if you're ready to dive in, to understand their journey of regret and your own path to empowerment, let's take this step together. Now is the time to affirm your strength and independence. Say it with me. I love my independence. Yes, you do, and you must, because this is about standing in your own worth. So, say it again. I love my independence. Don't hold back. Embrace it fully. Take it a step further and go ahead and write it in the comments. I love my independence. Claim it loud and clear. This is your declaration, a reminder that your worth and independence are in your hands. And if this is resonating, if you're feeling empowered, tap that like button to show your support for this journey. Let's move forward with this confidence together. Thank you for the strength you bring, and thank you for hitting that like button. So, now, let's dive deep into their journey of regret and realization. Step 1. Shock. The first thing that hits them is a wave of shock. It's a cold, sharp realization that leaves them disoriented, struggling to grasp that you're actually gone. Up until now, they've seen your love and loyalty as something permanent, like the sunrise. Dependable, always there. Something they never even considered could disappear. They took your kindness, your presence, your unwavering support for granted. But now, for the first time, they're confronted with the undeniable reality. You've walked away. And that realization, that jolt of clarity, lands like a punch they never saw coming. Imagine it. The person who thought they held all the control, who believed they could pull you in and push you away whenever they pleased, suddenly finds themselves alone. They check their phone repeatedly, expecting a message, a call, some sign that you'll reach out like you always have. But there's nothing. Silence. And that silence speaks louder than any words could. They're left with the chilling realization that something powerful, something irreplaceable has slipped through their fingers. This shock is more than just surprise. It's the breaking of an illusion. They'd convinced themselves that you'd always be there, patiently waiting, always available whenever they decided they wanted you back. But now, as reality settles in, they see that you meant it when you chose yourself. They're forced to accept that they've lost you, and that loss is real. As Lao Tzu once said, new beginnings are often disguised as painful endings. For you, this is a new beginning. For them, it's the painful start of a journey they never expected. Here's what you need to understand at this stage. Their shock will push them to try regaining control. In their confusion, they may test the waters, throw out casual messages, or try to pull you back with the same old tactics. They might even act indifferent, pretending not to care or saying things like, "I thought you'd be back by now." But don't be fooled. This reaction is born from fear, not genuine remorse. It's their way of denying what's happening, of clinging to a sense of superiority. Recognize it for what it is, a desperate attempt to mask their panic. Picture them standing on a cliff, looking down at the life they took for granted. When you were there, they stood at the edge but didn't care about the risk, feeling invincible with you as their safety net. Now, they're alone on that cliff, and the ground beneath them feels unstable. They're suddenly aware of the absence of the support they leaned on without a second thought. The shock isn't just about losing you, it's about realizing the depth of their dependence on you, a dependence they never truly acknowledged. At this moment, you might feel tempted to reach out, to explain, or to offer them closure. But resist the urge. Giving them closure now only spares them from facing the full weight of what they've lost. If you step in to ease their discomfort, you only reinforce their belief that you're still within reach. As difficult as it may be, let them feel this shock. This is their journey, and every moment of silence, every unanswered message, is a reminder of your choice to walk away. Stand firm, and remember, this stage is essential for both of you. Rumi wrote, "The wound is the place where the light enters you." Your absence is that wound, and they need to feel it fully to understand. Stay grounded in your decision, and remember why you chose to walk away. This stage is the foundation of your renewed self-worth, the beginning of a chapter where you prioritize yourself. If you return now, you risk falling back into the old patterns, handing control over once again. Remember, their shock is their response to losing something of value. This reaction is not a reflection of your worth, but of their failure to appreciate it. Instead of easing their shock, let it serve as your own affirmation of strength. Embrace this moment as proof of your decision to choose self-respect over someone who couldn't see your worth. And don't forget, every day you stand firm is a day you grow stronger and more self-reliant. Their shock will fade, but your strength will endure, a constant reminder of your power to walk away from anyone who doesn't honor your value. As you hold steady through this phase, remember this wisdom from Seneca. As is a tale, so is life. Not how long it is, but how good it is what matters. You're writing a new story, one filled with self-worth, dignity, and resilience. They may feel the shock of losing you, but you, my friend, are finally free. Embrace that truth. This shock is the beginning of their reckoning and the beginning of your liberation. Stand firm and let them come to grips with what they've lost. And folks, if you haven't already, please go ahead and hit that like button. It really helps this video reach others who might need this support, and there's nothing better than knowing we're helping more people find the strength they need. Step 2. Denial. After the initial shock fades, they find themselves spiraling into denial. They can't truly believe you're gone. In their minds, this can't be real. They'll be back. They always come back, they tell themselves. This stage is where they create a narrative that makes this separation feel temporary, just a small misunderstanding, something you'll get over. They convince themselves that you're still orbiting around them, ready to return the moment they reach out. Denial is their way of holding on to control, a tactic to downplay the loss and avoid facing the real impact of your departure. In their minds, nothing has changed. You're just upset or needing space. Accepting that you're gone would mean facing the emptiness left by their own actions, and that's a reality they aren't ready to confront. So, they cling to a comforting lie, the illusion that you'll come back. As Marcus Aurelius wisely said, reject your sense of injury and the injury itself disappears. In denial, they're attempting to erase the hurt of losing you by refusing to believe it's real. During this stage, they might act as though nothing is wrong, as if you're still an option waiting in the wings. You may see them posting online, carrying on with life, or even trying to appear unbothered. They're trying to convince themselves, and everyone else watching, that they're unfazed. But beneath that calm exterior is a growing desperation. These distractions are just a way to feel in control. They may even test you, sending casual messages or trying to subtly reconnect, as if this separation were just a minor misunderstanding. Here's what you need to do. Nothing. Silence is your ally. This is the time to keep your distance, to hold firm. Don't let their attempts to pull you back into old patterns sway you. They'll try to reel you in with casual messages, hoping for even a small response that reassures them. Don't give in. This isn't the time to clarify your decision, offer closure, or ease their discomfort. Let them feel the distance, because denial can only persist in the absence of reality. Your silence forces them to confront the truth they're so intent on avoiding. Think of it this way: they're building a house of cards, carefully stacking each one to uphold the illusion that you're still there, that nothing has changed. But each moment of silence from you is a gust of wind, threatening to knock it all down. The longer you stay firm, the more fragile their denial becomes. The reality of your absence starts seeping in, and they begin to feel the truth they've been denying. This is where your strength comes into play. Don't offer explanations. Don't give them the satisfaction of thinking you're still reachable. Your silence reminds them of the precious access they've lost, and no denial can hide that. Denial is simply a delay. It's their way of coping with a reality they're not ready to face, an unwillingness to see what's right before them. But it's only temporary. With each passing day, the weight of your absence grows heavier, and while they cling to denial, you're growing stronger, gaining the clarity that comes from standing firm. Their denial may shield them for now, but your silence will eventually bring the truth crashing down. As you stay steady through this stage, remember the words of Epictetus. Man is not worried by real problems so much as by his imagined anxieties about real problems. Their denial is an imagined shield, and when it crumbles, they'll be left to face the raw truth. And you'll still be standing, free and unwavering. And folks, we're now at the heart of this journey, and believe me, things are about to get even more intense. But folks, if at this point you have any questions, a unique perspective, or even a personal story that might inspire others, please share it in the comments. Your experience could be the encouragement someone else needs right now. Step 3. Anger. After denial fails to keep reality at bay, anger rushes in. This stage hits them hard, like a storm breaking through the calm. The realization that you're really gone ignites a frustration they weren't prepared for. They're no longer soothing themselves with lies of, "they'll come back," or "this is just a phase." Instead, they're gripped by a fiery rage. Rage directed at you for daring to walk away, and deep down, at themselves for letting it come to this. In their mind, you had no right to leave, no right to disrupt the status quo they controlled. But make no mistake, this anger is a mask, a cover for the deeper pain and regret simmering beneath the surface. In this stage, They're no longer able to pretend it's business as usual. They may lash out openly, or they might let their anger leak out in subtle, passive-aggressive ways. You might hear them throw accusations your way, calling you selfish, accusing you of giving up too easily, or twisting the story to paint themselves as the victim. In their anger, they rewrite history, framing the narrative to make it seem like you were the problem, the one who didn't care enough, who walked away too soon. As Seneca said, "Most powerful is he who has himself in his own power." But right now, they are anything but powerful. They're a storm without direction, lashing out to avoid facing the real source of their hurt. This anger often serves another purpose too. It's a test, a way of probing to see if they can provoke a reaction, hoping to bait you into responding. In their mind, if they can get you to argue, if they can make you defend yourself, they'll still have a connection, even if it's through conflict. Anger, after all, is still a form of engagement, still a way of keeping you in their orbit. They throw out barbs, hoping to ignite a fight, trying to pull you back into a conversation where they can regain some semblance of control. What do you do in this stage? Simple. You don't engage. Silence, once again, is your strength. Their anger is a reaction to their loss, but that doesn't make it your burden to bear. Don't let their outbursts sway you. Don't allow their accusations or bitterness to drag you back into a dynamic where they hold the strings. Recognize their anger for what it is, desperation dressed up as rage. You may feel the urge to respond, to set the record straight, to explain or defend yourself. Resist that urge. Your silence is your shield, a boundary that keeps their anger from reaching you. It shows them that they no longer have the power to manipulate you with their emotions. Imagine their anger like a fire, blazing intensely, trying to consume everything in its path. But you are water, calm and unmoved. Their anger may flare up, burn bright and rage on, but it will burn itself out as long as you don't feed it. Every response you withhold, every reaction you refuse to give, is a step closer to your own peace, a commitment to prioritize your sanity over their drama. By choosing not to engage, you show them that their anger has no power over you, that they've lost the ability to control you through conflict. This stage of anger for them is an exhausting but inevitable part of their journey. It's a sign that they're grappling with the consequences of their choices, even if they're not yet ready to fully face those consequences. Remember, their anger is a reflection of their own frustration and hurt, not a reflection of your worth. You are beyond their reach now, untouchable by the bitterness they're trying to throw your way. As Marcus Aurelius said, "How much more grievous are the consequences of anger than the causes of it?" Their anger is a storm that will eventually fade, harming them more than it could ever harm you. Stand firm through this storm. Don't let their anger penetrate the peace you're building for yourself. This is a test of your resilience, a reminder of the strength it took to walk away and the strength it takes to stay away. Their anger will burn out. They will have no choice but to move forward. But you'll remain steady, calm, and grounded, free from the flames of their frustration. In the end, this stage is another step on their journey, not yours. Their anger is an obstacle they must overcome to face the reality they've been avoiding. For you, it's a chance to affirm your growth, your strength, and your commitment to your own well-being. You've chosen a path of peace, and nothing they say or do can pull you back into their chaos. Hold steady, remember the power of your silence, and let their anger run its course. You are untouchable. Step 4. Bargaining. After anger subsides, they enter a quieter, more desperate phase, bargaining. This is when reality begins to settle in, and they're left clinging to any last hope of bringing you back. They may no longer be fuming with anger, but they're haunted by a new realization. They've lost something invaluable. This stage is marked by a different kind of intensity, a quieter but more powerful urge to rewind time, to find some way to undo what's been done. In bargaining, they start looking back, replaying memories, searching for where it all went wrong, and hoping they can fix things. They may reach out with messages designed to spark nostalgia, like, "Remember when we," or "I miss those days." Their goal is to remind you of the good times, hoping to ignite that old connection, to draw you back in with fond memories. They're hoping to hook you emotionally, making you question if maybe, just maybe, things could go back to the way they were. But remember this: if they couldn't appreciate your worth when they had you, what guarantees that they'll truly appreciate it now? This bargaining isn't rooted in genuine transformation. It's rooted in a desire to avoid the loneliness and regret they're starting to feel. They're not necessarily trying to grow. They're trying to soothe their own discomfort, hoping you'll return to fill the void. As philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche once said, "He who has a why to live for can bear almost any how." Their why right now is simply the pain of losing you, not the motivation for real change. In this stage, they may also start making promises, saying things like, "I'll do anything to make it right," or "Things will be different this time." They'll reach out with small gestures, perhaps suggest meeting just to talk, or bring up the possibility of a fresh start. They may use mutual friends or drop hints about how much they miss you, all in an attempt to negotiate their way back into your life. But remember, promises made in desperation often lack substance. They're more likely an attempt to soothe their regret than a true commitment to change. This stage is where your own clarity and resolve become vital. Don't allow yourself to be swayed by words alone. Recognize their messages for what they are, efforts to emotionally hook you, not signs of actual growth. True change is reflected in consistent action, not desperate promises. If they were serious about change, they'd be taking concrete steps toward it, rather than relying on nostalgic words to pull you back. Imagine their bargaining as a bridge built on shaky ground, held together by the weight of their own regret. It's a bridge made of words, promises, and memories, but it's ultimately unstable. Stepping back onto it would mean walking towards something that could easily collapse, dragging you back into the very patterns you left behind. Stand firm on the foundation you've built for yourself, and don't let nostalgia cloud your judgment. For them, bargaining is a moment of deep desperation, a temporary state that allows them to avoid the full weight of their loss. But you are wiser now, stronger. You know that love and respect don't need to be negotiated for. They're earned over time. As Epictetus said, don't explain your philosophy, embody it. Let your actions speak louder than their bargaining words ever could. By holding firm, you're showing them that your self-respect cannot be bought or bargained for. So as they move through this stage, remember, your silence and strength are what set you apart. You're choosing peace over empty promises, self-respect over desperate words. This isn't a moment to comfort them or ease their guilt. It's a moment for you to continue on your own journey, leaving behind anyone who only sees your value in hindsight. They may be bargaining for a way back, but you're standing firm, moving forward with clarity and strength. In the end, this stage is another chapter in their journey, not yours. Let them make their offers, let them reminisce, and let them promise the world if they want. You've already made your choice, and your life, your peace, and your growth are no longer up for negotiation. Step 5. Loneliness. After the bargaining fails, a new reality begins to settle in for them: loneliness. This isn't just the absence of company, it's the hollow realization that you're truly gone. The distractions, the denial, the anger, the promises, none of it has worked. They're left alone, facing the emptiness left in your wake. This stage is profound, a silent yet unrelenting ache that fills every corner of their life, bringing them face to face with the void they never expected. Loneliness is different from regret or anger. It's a quiet, persistent reminder that they've lost someone irreplaceable, someone who once added color and warmth to their world. Now, that warmth is gone, and the silence in its place is louder than they ever thought possible. This stage forces them to reflect on the subtle ways you brought meaning into their life, the comfort in your words, the laughter you shared, the feeling of being seen and understood. Without you, they begin to realize how much they relied on your presence to give their life a certain depth that is now missing. In their loneliness, they may try to fill the gap with distractions. They'll look for substitutes, people or activities that might temporarily distract them from that aching emptiness. But no amount of social media, new faces, or fleeting experiences can replace what they had with you. Every connection feels shallow. Every attempt to move on feels hollow. They realize that finding someone who genuinely cares and understands them isn't as easy as they once thought. They'll search for you in others, hoping to recreate that same connection. But each attempt falls short, only serving as a painful reminder of what they lost. This loneliness can be difficult to observe from a distance. You may notice them posting more, trying to showcase their happiness, or surrounding themselves with people to fill the empty spaces. But remember, this loneliness isn't just about lacking company. It's the internal realization that they undervalued something precious. Your silence during this stage only amplifies that reality, reinforcing the truth that you're not coming back to fill that void. Understand this: their loneliness is not yours to fix. It's part of the journey they need to go through to truly understand the consequences of their actions. By feeling the full depth of this solitude, they are forced to confront the reality of who you were to them and how deeply they took you for granted. This loneliness is a mirror, showing them the impact of their choices, the cost of their disregard for something real and rare. As Jean-Paul Sartre said, "If you're lonely when you're alone, you're in bad company." In their solitude, they are finally forced to sit with themselves, to face the reality of their loss without distractions or excuses. They come to understand that genuine connection, loyalty and love are not things to be taken lightly. Meanwhile, you are growing stronger, filling your life with purpose and peace, surrounded by things that genuinely nourish you. Their loneliness is a part of their path, not yours. Let them sit with their solitude and come to terms with what they let slip away. This loneliness is a lesson they'll carry, a reminder that not everyone is replaceable. And you are free, moving forward and filling your life with meaning that they'll now only witness from a distance. Step 6. Regret. When loneliness has settled in deeply, it starts to transform into something heavier: regret. This stage is one of the most painful for them because it's no longer fleeting or fueled by anger or pride. Instead, it's a relentless ache as they realize, with stark clarity, the gravity of what they've lost. They begin to replay memories, each choice, each careless word, every moment they took you for granted. And with each one, the regret digs deeper, a weight that refuses to lift. Regret is a powerful emotion because it forces them to confront the reality of their own actions. This is the stage where they come to terms with the fact that each small act of neglect, every moment they disregarded you, was a choice they made. And now, the consequences are all too real. They start to see clearly that they had something genuine, something rare, and they let it slip away. In these quiet moments, they realize the depth of what they lost and understand that there's no easy way to erase it. They can no longer ignore the truth. They're responsible for their own unhappiness. Driven by regret, they may reach out to you, searching for some kind of redemption, hoping for an opportunity to make amends. You might receive messages of apology, words of sorrow, confessions of how much they miss you. But understand this: their regret is not yours to soothe. It's the natural consequence of their actions, and it's not your role to relieve them of it. As Seneca once said, regret is the punishment of folly, and they're now living that punishment in full force. Regret becomes a shadow that follows them, a constant reminder of the opportunity they wasted, the relationship they undervalued. They start to recognize that finding someone as loyal, as caring, and as genuine as you isn't a given. It's a rare gift. And now they realize they may never find it again. For you, this stage of regret is an affirmation of your strength and value. Their regret reflects the worth they failed to see, but it also reminds you of the wisdom in your choice to walk away. Stand firm, knowing that you've grown beyond the reach of their apologies and sorrow. Their regret is theirs alone, a reminder of what they lost and a burden they must carry forward. You, however, are free, moving on with a life that values your worth fully. Step 7. Desperation. When regret becomes too overwhelming, it spirals into desperation. This stage is raw, consuming, and relentless. Desperation is the final realization that they're on the verge of losing you forever, and the fear of that loss hits them harder than they ever imagined. It's no longer quiet reflection or simmering regret. It's a frantic, all-encompassing need to reach out, to try anything to bring you back. In desperation, they lose the calm facade they've been holding on to. Their attempts to appear unbothered or to play it cool fall away, replaced by urgent, sometimes overwhelming gestures. They may flood you with messages, show up unexpectedly, or make grand promises of change. They'll say things like, "I'll do anything to make it right," or "I've finally realized what you mean to me." Desperation makes them grasp at memories, trying to remind you of the good times, hoping to reignite what you once shared. But remember, these actions aren't born from genuine transformation. They're fueled by fear. In this state, they're motivated not by the hard work of self-reflection, but by the panic of losing the security and connection you brought into their life. They may mean the words they say in the moment, but desperation is often fleeting, a reaction to the immediate pain of loss rather than a deep commitment to change. As Epictetus wisely put it, we cannot choose our external circumstances, but we can always choose how we respond to them. Right now, they're responding with frantic attempts rather than calm, considered growth. This stage is a crucial test for you. Their words may stir old emotions, tempting you to consider if things could be different. But remember, desperation is not a foundation for true change. It's a momentary reaction. Genuine transformation takes time, introspection, and consistent effort. Things that desperation cannot provide. Think of their desperation like a storm crashing against a cliff. The waves are intense, crashing over and over, but ultimately they recede. Your strength lies in standing firm, holding your ground, and not letting the intensity of their words and gestures pull you back. You've chosen a path of self-respect, and no amount of desperate pleading should undo the peace you've created. In the end, their desperation is a reflection of what they've lost, not of the value they bring to your life now. Let them feel the full weight of this stage, for only then can they truly understand the impact of their actions. You, however, remain steady, calm and untouched, moving forward with clarity and strength. Step 8. Acceptance. Acceptance is the final stage, the point where they come to terms with the reality they've been avoiding. After moving through shock, denial, anger, bargaining, loneliness, regret and desperation, they arrive at a place of quiet resignation. In this stage, they begin to see with clarity that they've lost something invaluable and that their attempts to regain it have failed. Acceptance is a bitter pill to swallow, but it's also the only path left for them, a moment of reckoning that forces them to fully face the consequences of their choices. Acceptance isn't instant. It's a slow realization, a gradual understanding that sinks in after every failed attempt, every ignored message, every moment of silence from you. They start to understand that you are no longer an option, that their opportunity has come and gone, and that your life has moved forward without them. This understanding is accompanied by a deep sense of loss, but it's also freeing. Acceptance is a release of the illusions they've clung to throughout this journey, a letting go of the hope that things might return to what they once were. In this stage, they finally stop reaching out. There's no more bargaining, no more desperate gestures, no more attempts to rewrite the past. Instead, they're left with the heavy silence of their own reflection. They begin to see you not as someone waiting in the wings, but as someone who's made a definitive choice to walk away. They may even feel a sense of regret, but it's different now. It's a regret tempered by understanding, by a growing respect for the boundaries you set, and for the strength it took to hold to them. They realize that your departure wasn't an attempt to punish them, but an act of self-preservation, of choosing yourself over a situation that no longer served you. For them, acceptance is both a painful end and a necessary step toward growth. It's the closing of a chapter that they may look back on with remorse, but it's also a moment of clarity. They come to understand that true love and connection are not things to be taken lightly. This newfound understanding may even inspire them to make real changes within themselves, not to win you back, but to prevent the same mistakes from happening again. Acceptance becomes a space where they can finally let go, where they no longer cling to the hope of your return, but instead begin to focus on their own journey. For you, this stage of acceptance is a testament to your resilience and strength. You held your ground through every phase, each one a test of your commitment to yourself. In doing so, you affirmed your own worth, choosing peace, self-respect, and a life free from the cycles that once held you back. Their acceptance marks a final release, a moment where you can move forward without the weight of their lingering regret or the pull of their unfinished emotions. In acceptance, you are free. Free from the narratives they tried to spin, free from the emotional turbulence they once caused. This stage is your victory, a moment where you can look back with clarity and gratitude for the path you chose. You didn't waver, didn't fall back into familiar patterns, and in doing so, you broke free from the dynamics that no longer served you. Now, you stand on solid ground, ready to embrace what lies ahead without the weight of the past holding you down. Acceptance is the closing of a door, both for them and for you. For them, it's the understanding that some mistakes can't be undone, that some people truly are irreplaceable. They realize, finally, that they've lost someone rare and valuable, someone who won't be easily replaced. For you, acceptance is the beginning of a new chapter, one filled with growth, self-love, and the possibility of connections that honor the person you've become. As you move forward, remember the strength it took to arrive here. This journey wasn't easy, but each stage brought you closer to this moment of liberation. In the end, you are not defined by the pain they may have caused, but by the strength it took to choose yourself. Acceptance is your freedom, your release, and the starting point of a life fully rooted in your own worth. Embrace it, for you have emerged from this journey stronger, wiser, and ready to welcome the peace and possibilities that await. If this journey has resonated with you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more empowering content. Remember, walking away isn't just an end. It's the beginning of a new chapter defined by self-respect, strength, and clarity. You've moved beyond cycles of doubt and into a life where your worth is non-negotiable. Each stage brought you closer to the freedom and peace you deserve. Now, embrace the future with confidence, knowing that you are stronger, wiser, and fully empowered to create connections that honor who you truly are. Thank you for being here. Stay empowered.